goes, you dirty, filthy apes. Gonna do a quick analysis here of blur. This is gonna be a short setup. I'm gonna do a single pane setup. So within the context, meaning we're not gonna shift between different time frames or whatever. We're just gonna do it in one chart, one setup. So ultimately, I'm going net long on this, but I'm trying to play a scalp short into the long. So the idea is you have a low, you have a high resistance liquidity run of that low, forming the bottom, we're assuming anyway. Then a break above these highs and a closure, so that's your shift, and then a pullback into discount of this stealing range to raid the internal range, these lows. This essentially forming a reclaim of this low. So this is a perfect box setup to start running it up again. Now you have two new dealing ranges, right? So you have from here to here, because this low took out this low and this high took out these highs. So that's how you define your dealing range. And if you just fib out from this dealing range high to this dealing range low, what I'm looking for is as we approach this supply line, so basically from these highs to this one right here, this is your visible, obvious supply line. It's nestled between the 786 and the 886 fib, which means within this dealing range, that's going to be in deep premium. So essentially, deep premium is where you get discount shorts, right? So this is where I'm assuming we're going to get apes trying to bid the supply line breakout. And what I'm looking for in this orange zone right here, without taking out this high, any fast move that suddenly stops, it just kind of stalls here, and then you see people getting trapped. Again, you could use order books for that. I don't even use order books, but it's something that I'm definitely going to be learning in depth pretty soon. So essentially, when you see price stop after the breakout and then just not really continuing, and then you reject back under the supply line, I'm just going to be looking for an underside retest of the supply line here once these weak highs over here get purged. So the idea is there's equal highs now here, so that's probably going to finish the move. But if it gets above these highs with some momentum, it's probably going to flush out these guys really quick. That speed is going to bait a lot of people that are going to break out long or try to break out long here. It might work, like people might get the breakout long and it might just irrationally pump. But in my experience, 90% of the time, these breakouts end up being false bullish breakouts that eventually test the underside, break down into discount. So this is a trap setup. It happens quite often. Your best version to play the long, so the way I would treat invalidation is if it does break out, pause, bring it back into the supply line, and then suddenly it does something like this, building structure off it, then you just flip into the long, because especially if volume comes in, because it's probably going to hold the back test and then start running into the next area of supply or liquidity. But if it does breach and then come back under, that's going to be your, essentially that's going to be your setup for the short. And the idea would be, if you zoom out here and apply an anchored VWAP from the low, this is fair value. So within the dealing range, from the dealing range low to high to the current price action over here, anytime it retraces back into VWAP, if it is bullish, this is the area, like once it finds, after a few tests and weaving in and out of it, once it finds its ground on top of anchored VWAP from the lows, I find that tends to be the best entry to get the long. So if we get that, this is going to be an area where I have two, basically I have this and this as my bids, and I'm playing it to much higher levels into the daily imbalance. But this is the trap short setup. It's one that I like to trade. It doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes you get full breakouts, usually with shit coins, but you know, high volume scam coins, they tend to do this more. So I'm just playing probabilities on this short. And again, you're going to have two different plans. So breakout, retest, and it holds, building structure, long. And then your idea was wrong. But if it breaks out, pauses, and then tests the underside and fails to break out again, then you go short. Very simple. All right, guys. Cheers.